And, the minute the prince moves in, the lines are a little bit longer at Starbucks. They are. I'm not going to lie. But,
really? Oh.
but it's been good for real estate prices.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place. The last 7 days have witnessed increased exasperation expressed by the British media. In last week's video, when talking about the VJ Day anniversary observances, dry is the adjective I used to describe the last-minute social media post from the Waleses because it lacked authenticity. The Waleses thought their little post was enough to appease World War II veterans until it was reported a few days later that Harry had arranged for a wreath, together with a personalised letter, to be laid on his behalf at the National Arboretum in Staffordshire, where the event took place. As was to be expected, the arrangers twisted the intent of Harry's carefully considered tribute by saying that he tried to upstage Charles and Camilla, and he should have asked permission. For me, this raises some observations and questions. Firstly, Harry is reported to have instructed a friend to act as his proxy, to wait until hours after the event had finished because he didn't want to draw the focus away from the event itself. Secondly, why does Harry need to ask permission to lay a wreath to honour veterans given that the National Arboretum is a public monument? Just because he'd had his military patronages taken away, why on earth should he be prevented from paying his respects? Please be reminded that neither Charles nor William have ever been in active combat. Harry has. Please also be reminded that neither Charles nor William held Prince Philip in high regard, so it's easy to see why they didn't reference him on VJ Day. Harry did. Furthermore, for all his boasting about his participation in the Falklands War in the 1980s, and since the British media revere him so much, why weren't they curious about Andrew's contribution or lack thereof on VJ Day? The media focused on Harry because he caught them unaware yet again, while inadvertently spotlighting William's ineptitude in the process. Harry's reference to his grandfather in his written tribute reminded me of this video when I talked about his court appearance in London on the 9th of April this year in relation to his security arrangements. That day was also significant for him because it was the 4th anniversary of his grandfather's passing, which is why he chose to wear a tie in the colours of the household division of the Grenadier Guards, of which Prince Philip was the colonel. I like to defer to your greater knowledge, house guests, so please comment below and let me know, when did you last hear of Charles or William referencing Prince Philip since he passed? Arguably, Harry's heartfelt tribute on VJ Day may have contributed to the media's seemingly increasing frustration with the Waleses.
Currently, is it duty second? I don't know. But I think you're right. He's putting a line in the sand at the moment about what he's going to do as monarch going forward.
But as the late Queen used to say, you've got to be seen to be believed. Yeah. And the fact is you've got to be out active. And there has been criticism in the papers, subsequent to your splash, about the lack of jobs that he's doing. And compared to, say, the Princess Royal and even the King. I mean, the King, is still living with cancer and is very, very active. And it must be incredibly sapping for him. And the Princess Royal, I mean, I was at a function the other day where she became president, taking over from the Duke of Edinburgh as president of the In and Out Club. And there she was, turning up late at night, then having dinner with the board of directors till about 11. She'd had a full and active day. It goes to the territory. And if you remember what she said in that interview with the Canadian television, is that be careful what you wish for, because if you start downsizing too much, your influence, your stretch, it becomes less, you're less connected with the people. People do turn out when they see, particularly people like, Sophie Wessex and the new Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Edward, they turn out in droves, and they like that connection. Yeah. And if you lose that connection, the monarchy actually loses something that it's about.
And also, it sort of feeds into the Republican ideal that why do we need a monarchy?
Even Daily Mail contributors made their feelings very clear. But there are still those who, maybe because they want some sort of recognition from the institution in the future, are totally incapable of defending the Waleses without attacking the Sussexes, as evidenced by this heated exchange between GB News' Nana Akua and seasoned journalist Nina Mishkov.
Now, Meghan has charisma. Kate does not. The press have tried for 5 years, for 5-6 years, they have tried and tried to make Kate every day in the press. She's beautiful, she's this, she wears Zara earrings. So they've tried very, very hard to make her into somebody like Diana, and she's not. The thing about Meghan is she's the same as the people. Like this country, she's multicultural. She is.
So is Kate. No, just because she's mixed
race.
She's
made her own living.
No, look. The bottom line is that people like tradition, and we like tradition, and people do enjoy that, and that's one of the things.
Older people
One of the things that people like about that is the continuity of the monarchy and the consistency of it. And so you may say older people like it, but my daughter, she's a teenager, she loves that consistency. Now, Meghan was disruptive for the royal family, and it hasn't worked out. We don't want somebody like that dealing with the royal family.
Young people support Meghan.
No, they don't. And you know what, Nina?
What
will it take for you to finally accept that Meghan really is not right for the royal family? Seriously, you even said that you agree with her. She went on Oprah, she lied. We all know they lied about racism.
She
there was
did
17
not lie.
clear inconsistencies.
This is going over old ground, and we know that this.
Well, it is relevant. That's why she's not. That's why she's not.
I mean, what are such terrible things that she said? But listen, let me just say to you, Meghan is somebody that we can actually look up to as a woman. Kate has never.
Well, what do you look up to?
Look, because when she was 11 years old, she changed Procter and Gamble.
That's not even true.
It is
the
true.
Story is the dad retold the story in the correct way.
You believe that, Father?
Well,
Procter and Gamble changed an ad for soap. Because Meghan wrote as an 11-year-old.
With respect, Nina,
you laugh, but she supported women. In 2015, she made a speech at the United Nations. Now, what has Kate done? What has Kate done?
Making subtle but impactful statements is something the Sussexes do very well. Again, with reference to last week's video, we know how eager Meghan was to represent the Queen by wanting to become actively involved in the Commonwealth. And if you cast your mind back to the 19th of May 2018, Meghan subtly demonstrated her commitment by having the flower of each Commonwealth nation sewn into the train of her wedding dress. in addition to the California poppy and the winter sweet grown at Kensington Palace. We further observe that subtle statements translate into monetary gain for little-known brands Meghan wears and invests in. So, if she has the understated power to have such a financial impact on these obscure brands, why were the detractors surprised by Meghan's commercial success when it came to her own brand? Some call it the Meghan effect, but I like to call it Meghanomics. It's not a term I've ever heard used by anyone else, so I'm going to claim it as my own. Now, if you hear other content creators use it, you'll know where they got it from. Outside of the scope of that, we see Meghan and Harry's presence in Montecito has even increased property values, as stated by Rob Lowe in this interview 4 years ago.
We have dubbed you the mayor of Montecito. And I know you didn't ask Oprah about Harry and Meghan, but have you seen Harry with his ponytail biking Archie around? Just please tell me yes.
I'm now ready to say that it probably wasn't a ponytail that I saw him with, but it sure looked like it.
I wish.
No, I don't see them. They keep a very low profile. They do. They live right over the fence line from my very first house I built here.
I love that house. Oh.
Yeah, this was the house that Oprah came to the gate and crashed and maybe go on her show. It's that house. But look, Montecito is a beautiful place to live, and it enabled me to live out of Hollywood. It's the same reason he's moved there as why I moved there, to get away. And everybody leaves you alone. You can live a normal life there. Now that's changed. Started with Oprah, and the minute the prince moves in, the lines are a little bit longer at Starbucks. They are. I'm not gonna lie, but
Really? Oh.
but it's been good for real estate prices.
You
Now
started
I'd say it's a slightly different demographic, but it's nice. It keeps it grows, and it's way more youthful than it was, and I like it. There's way more. It's way more of a scene, which is great because it was very, very sleepy, but it still has that sedate, off the beaten path, chill vibe, which is why a certain type of celebrity likes it.
Well, for Harry and Meghan, like, have you reached out? Orlando, I guess, sent him a text, kind of welcoming, making sure he's okay and everything. Is that part of the community that everybody looks out for one another?
Honestly, the weird thing is that there are people who've lived in Montecito that I'm like, wait a minute. They live here. I never knew that. So it's actually, people let each other kind of chill. You know what I mean? It's not like that in that way. And I think that's why people love it. If we run into each other, then it's great. But there's nothing like that. You don't want the pressure of feeling like, you've gone to the flipping Golden Globes and you've got to go over to the table and say hi. It's like, everybody's raising their kids, doing their dad and mom thing and trying to be as normal as you can be when you live in, obviously a public life.
Now, when it comes to purchasing power, could you make room for the possibility that the black pound, or in this case, the black dollar, has more power than the media could ever have conceived? What do I mean? Well, in the UK, the expression the grey pound is used in the context of marketing and or retail sources and refers to the purchasing power of elderly people as consumers. It is frequently used as a label for movies aimed at an older audience. A similar term exists for LGBT consumers, known as pink money, or even sometimes the pink pound. John Hope Bryant authored this article, which was published by Time magazine on the 20th of November 2024, and I'll just read a few paragraphs. The headline for this article reads, "Successful white men alone can't create America's economic future." As the founder of Operation Hope, I've spent the better part of my life advocating for financial literacy and economic empowerment in underserved communities. Over the years, I've come to a stark realization: there are simply not enough successful white men to carry the weight of America's economic future. This is not a slight against those men who have historically driven much of our nation's GDP growth. Just the opposite. I want as many of them as possible to be successful, as we all succeed when we all succeed. This is just a mathematical reality, and one that we must confront and solve positively if we want to ensure America's continued prosperity. Consumer spending makes up 70% of the US economy, but the face of the American consumer is changing. Today, America is made up of 41% minority groups, and by 2044, the United States will be a majority minority country, meaning no single racial or ethnic group will dominate the population. Even today, minority groups wield immense purchasing power. Black Americans are projected to have 1.7 trillion in spending power by 2030, while Hispanic Americans already contribute 3.2 trillion annually to the economy. These numbers tell a clear story. The economic future of America depends on ensuring that all citizens, regardless of race, gender, or background, have access to the tools and opportunities they need to thrive. Recently, I stated that regardless of how good your product or service is, if I do not trust you, if I don't feel I have a connection with you, I will never buy what you're selling. Now, if we're honest, most of us buy things on an emotional level. Some of us may consider the integrity of the company, the quality of the products, and the price point. We also look for anchors. Can I relate to this company? Can I identify with the brand? Do they have an understanding of me as the consumer or end user? When it comes to anything offered by the Royal Collection or its associated brands, I've had a couple of their products gifted to me in the past, and I have to answer no to those questions. Essentially, I do not feel a personal connection with any of their brands, so I would not be compelled to support them commercially. The institution somehow believes that royal branding is enough to ensure their success, whereas as we can see, that's not the case, which is why they feel they have to compete with Meghan at every turn, failing to comprehend that Meghan is absent from any competition they initiate. Conversely, although I'm yet to try any of Meghan's products, I eagerly await the opportunity to do so because her brand feels personal to me. It feels aspirational. It feels attainable. It's not trying to exclude me, but paradoxically, in a very good way, it feels exclusive. Meghan being involved in every detail of her business, down to the packaging, presentation, and keeping us informed via her email newsletters, shows me that she cares about the consumer being left with a positive impression. If you have a good first impression of a brand, you're more likely to be a repeat customer and provide continued support. From what I've observed, the With Love Meghan series is a concept that appears to strongly resonate with Black women in particular. Prior to that, many of us had never really expressed an interest in culinary or lifestyle shows because it was a space we, never saw ourselves in. Not that it was even a space we necessarily craved. However, we've seen Meghan demonstrate simple ways to elevate meals, even if we don't have a luxury kitchen. We've seen her create experiences like producing honey, making candles, and hosting and entertaining, and fully enjoy being joyful while not being in the pursuit of perfection. Now we're eager to try her recipes ourselves. We're enthusiastic about making our own fruit platters on charcuterie boards, using her cookie mix to make our own cookies, and we look forward to drinking good quality wine with family and friends. At a time during which we're bombarded with bad news and sad news, being able to grab moments of joy is becoming very rare, And as far as I'm concerned, Meghan is providing an opportunity for us to do just that. Meaningful messages and Meghanomics are only two of the many elements that make the Sussexes who they are, and that's why the detractors will never stop detracting.
When I tell you how much I can't be bothered, if I don't like you, I don't want to be in your presence at all. I'm not the kind of person that hate watches people's content. If I don't want to follow an influencer or content creator anymore, I don't have to make no big video about it or no big fuss about it. When people get online and they make those videos and they're like, name me 10 content creators that you don't care about anymore and who you're not following and who you've blocked. If you don't get a life and just move on, like, I don't understand how people even have the bandwidth to be around or entertain someone at all when they don't like them. I don't have it, and I don't play in folks' face.
So guys, just a bit of background with regard to the clip you just saw. The content creator is called Steph Co. That's her YouTube name. She's been on the platform for a number of years, and her content centers around pop culture and her relatively unsuccessful dating life. She has some stories. Some of them, in fact, most of them, she's removed from YouTube because she got so much heat. And she had a viral video that had, I think it was over a million views? She's talked about it before. I think she talks about it in this one that she uploaded a few days ago. She's very funny. I do enjoy watching her content because she has really good insight. But what she was talking about had absolutely nothing to do with the Sussexes. This video she uploaded was talking about women being bullied for not wanting to go on coffee dates. That's a whole nother conversation. But essentially what she was saying is that she has no time for people she doesn't like, and she's had many dates where she's not kept in contact with the guy because of how she was treated. Now, the reason I included that is to show you that this is not just an online issue. It happens in real life, and people online and in real life have this propensity to stalk someone they cannot stand. They just have this fascination with them. And essentially what she was saying is that she doesn't have the capacity for that. If she doesn't like someone, she doesn't want anything to do with them. And I'm the same. You've heard me talk about this. We've talked about it in the comments. It doesn't make sense, guys. People have lost their minds. I've said this before. You've got people who follow Meghan on her Instagram account who absolutely despise her. Not all of those 4.1 million followers, including myself, are her supporters. I'd say a tiny percentage with a loud mouth just want to see what she's doing. You know, you can't stop them, but this is what they do. It's like they literally have nothing else better to do. They have too much time on their hands. That includes the British media, because Meghan and Harry are their bread and butter. Members of the British media are not able to pay their mortgage without Harry and Meghan. Members of the British media are not able to eat without Harry and Meghan. Members of the British media are not able to pay their child's school fees or their children's school fees without Harry and Meghan. It would appear, however, that the tide is turning and they're directing their attention toward William and Kate. And what I've seen online is that they're discovering that attention on William and Kate, particularly when it's not favourable, is gaining traction. So they're monetizing that, not just by clicks, but by putting up a paywall. I've seen the Daily Mail do this, Daily Fail do this. They are maximising their opportunity while they can to make as much money from William and Kate by reporting negatively on them. But they do have a valid point, guys. Where is this couple? Apparently, Kate is now withdrawing from public life because, I mean, I haven't read it because I'm not interested, but just seen snippets online. She can't cope. How many comebacks is she going to make? What is it she can't cope with? On the 13th of July 2025, why was she not able to cope then when she was at Wimbledon? She seemed to cope very well. When she was on her holidays, she seemed to cope very well. What is it she can't cope with? What were they taking a holiday from? You know, you ask these questions and you just hear tumbleweed. No one has an answer, but it looks as though the British media want answers because they are becoming frustrated. They can't do anything with Harry and Meghan right now because they've seen that regardless of what they do, however much mud they try to throw, it won't stick. Harry and Meghan are fine. William and Kate are not fine. With regard to them moving into this big house, this forever home, what does that even mean? What does that mean, guys? Please explain to me. Because they have 3 children who are not toddlers anymore. In 10 to 15 years' time, they will have carved out their own paths with a view to leaving that home. And then you just have William and Kate kind of just in there rattling around. Some people have speculated that it's a home for Kate to remain in after they get divorced. I'm not going down that road. I don't know what they're doing. Okay. For the sake of these kids, I hope they don't get divorced because divorce is not a joke, guys. It's nothing to be played with. You know, I don't like when these idiots wish divorce on Harry and Meghan. I'm certainly not going to wish divorce on William and Kate. All I would like to see them do is get their act together because we need to see a return on our investment, an involuntary investment. We did not ask for our money to go to them, but since our money is going to them, do some work. That is what we want them to do. Stop making excuses about why you can't be seen here, why you can't do this, why you can't do that. When it comes to leisure activities, they show up front and center. But when it comes to actual work, again, what does that mean? They are nowhere to be found. So this forever home, William claims apparently that they are using their own money that comes from us. Is that the money he's talking about? Or has he done some dodgy deal on the yacht that he was on with this Middle Eastern sheikh or whatever it is? I don't know. I don't know. Things do not add up as usual. And this tide that appears to have turned, I'm very skeptical. You know me, guys, I'm cynical when it comes to this because in one click of a finger, they could redirect their attention and start going after Harry and Meghan again. At the moment, it's died down. You know, when Meghan's show comes out in a couple of days from the date of this upload, they will be hate watching as usual. Just expect the usual nonsense. Her supporters will be waiting for this show to start. I certainly am going to curl up with my mug of tea and biscuits as these nights start to draw in and get a bit colder as we transition from summer to autumn. I can't wait. I can't wait. If the trailer puts such a smile on my face, God only knows what this next series is going to do. I am looking forward to it, guys. I've just heard 100% positive comments, positive feedback about her brand, and long may it continue. This is just going to enhance all of that. And I need to get to a stage where I actually get my hands on these products. In a few months' time, I'm meant to be going to the States to visit my daughter. So hopefully, guys, I'll be able to order some. That's if she has any in stock. I have to take that into consideration. With that said, guys, if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day and you shall catch me in the next video.